as we've been talking for some time, really since April of this year, as if there wasn't enough going on in this whole world. Excuse me one second. Yeah. As if there wasn't enough going on in this whole world, New York State had decided to change their home care regulations as far as community-based Medicaid eligibility. All right. And we've been dealing with this for the last 6 months since April. Let me just make sure we're still good. Okay, cool. All right. Now, the changes impact just home care, as I'm going to share. And that means there are things that need to get done rather quickly because we're running out of time before the actual, the updated implementation. Okay, so now, again, a little bit of background. Why Medicaid? What does Medicaid matter? How does this actually play into your parents or your spouses or your future? And the big picture is this, that as we get older, there are different types of needs that we're going to have. Okay, we can have those needs that are what I call medical in nature, meaning doctors and hospitals, the emergency room, rehabilitation centers, all medical in nature and all covered by, or at least hopefully the vast majority, all covered by our health insurance or by Medicare. Okay, so medical needs where doctors are involved, Medicare and health insurance covers. But on the other side of the coin, you have long-term care needs. All right, long-term care needs are those that are not medical, but those that are what are also called custodial or chronic care needs. We primarily use these long-term care needs. And those long-term care needs are those that are functional in nature and best described and best defined by the activities of daily living. Okay, so if somebody needs help with walking, bathing, toileting, transferring, which means getting up and out of a chair, if somebody needs assistance with grooming and eating, again, activities of daily living, functional and long-term care in nature. If somebody has a long-term care need, we are basically on our own to pay for that type of help. You can bring an aide into the house to help you. For some, an assisted living is an appropriate environment, or you can utilize a nursing facility on the extreme case, all right? So that's where we can receive long-term care. Long-term care itself, though, is paid one of three different ways, okay? You can use your own personal cash, your savings. You can use what's called long-term care insurance, which a lot of people don't have, and those that even do have it, unfortunately, it's often not robust enough of a policy. But finally, the third way to pay for long-term care needs is what's called Medicaid, okay? So to sum it up, Medicare is for medical needs, doctors and hospitals, and Medicaid are for those long-term care needs, okay? Now, why is paying for long-term care such an issue? Well, because it is expensive, very, very expensive. That home care aid I mentioned a moment ago can be $25 to $30 an hour, which can hit $200, $300, $400 a day, which can turn into $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month. Home care can be very expensive. Assisted livings, you could be looking at $4,000 to $10,000 plus per month, room and board. All right, nursing homes, $15,000 to $20,000 per month. So paying for long-term care on your own is not something most of us can do, all right? Medicaid has become the payer of long-term care for the middle class, all right? It's something that I'll guarantee you neighbors and perhaps relatives are utilizing for their long-term care, and you don't even realize it. It is the same home care agencies that you pay privately for. It is the same home care agencies that Medicare pays. It is the same nursing homes that you can pay $600, $700 a day for. Those are all Medicaid providers, okay? So Medicaid is very, very popular on Long Island to pay for our long-term care needs. So Medicaid has two programs. The first one is what's called chronic care Medicaid, which is the nursing home, all right? The second one is community Medicaid, and that is the home care program. First, what does chronic care or nursing home Medicaid provide? Well, they'll pay for the nursing home, room and board, and the care, all covered once we have eligibility for chronic care Medicaid. It is subject to a 5-year look back, and I'll talk about that in a moment as to what that means and the relevance to today. Primarily, though, it means we're going to be dealing with transfer penalties for any type of asset protection step, just nursing home. Again, I'll explain it in a little more depth in a moment. Community Medicaid, on the other hand, is going to be our home health care. It's also going to be our assisted living program, not to be confused with everyday assisted living facilities. The ALP, assisted living program, is not your Atrias and not your Sunrise and not your Bristols. These are other independent facilities that even some of the chain facilities are starting to have ALP beds where Medicaid will actually pay for the room and board and some level of care, okay? There's not many of them on Long Island. We need more of the ALP program beds. Then we have adult daycare, as well as the reality that eligibility for community-based Medicaid, all right, has no look-back period. That's what today's about, all right? I wrote this 6 months ago, but still, as of today, no look-back period, which also means no penalties, okay? So the stark difference is not only where you receive the benefit, nursing home or home care, but how we get into the program, all right? Look back and penalties versus no look back and penalties for home care. All right. Now, home care also, last point there, about 5 or 6 years ago, started bringing in and increasing the importance of care. What is the level of care that's needed? And as you'll see with the new changes that are rolling out, they're placing more and more emphasis on the care needs of the applicant. How much care do they need? Do they meet certain thresholds? Okay. So, what services are impacted by these major changes that are occurring? And gratefully, it's just the community-based long-term care services. I don't want any changes for home care. Our clients don't want, our families can't afford these changes, but it's better than nursing home changing also. Okay, so when I say it's only, it's half of the universal program that Medicaid has. It's just community Medicaid. So it's going to impact home health care, that aid coming into the house. If you need an aid in the house, that is home health care. So you need to keep listening as to how these changes are going to impact you or your loved ones in the near future. It applies to private duty nursing. It applies to personal care services. It applies to that assisted living program I mentioned earlier. And it also applies to the consumer-directed program. A lot of clients and a lot of New Yorkers take advantage of this. This is where the consumer directs the care, which means you hire your own aides in the home. You do not go to a certified home health care agency, okay? So that also is subject to these new changes coming down the road. So what exactly is this new law that was signed back in April? Well, I'm going to give it to you exactly as Governor Cuomo signed it back in April, but gratefully there were some updates. I will say also, a little caveat, there are a tremendous amount of open issues still with this new law, okay? What I'm sharing with you is what we believe is accurate as of today. It can change next week, it can change next month, it can change at the beginning of 2021. But this is where we are today, okay? So the new law as signed back in April is this. There will be now a 30-month look-back period for home care for all applications filed after October 1st, okay? 30-month look-back for all home care applications after October 1st, which was last week. That's how the law was written. The next slide, I'm going to talk about how that's been postponed slightly, okay? Before I get there, though, this concept of a look-back period. It's new to home care. Home care has never had a look-back period. Community Medicaid never had a look-back period. Therefore, it never had penalties. Let me explain what that is. But in order to do that, I have to talk about nursing home, okay? In a nursing home Medicaid scenario, there is a 5-year look-back period. That is a 60-month review of all of your financial accounts. Checking, savings, they're looking at retirement accounts. They're looking at your real estate. annuities, life insurance, every asset you own, they are looking at yours and your spouse's, if you have a spouse, for 60 months. That is the purpose of the look back period, okay? To review everything. Now, what do they do with that? Well, as they're reviewing all of those accounts and transactions that you've done over the last 60 months, they're looking for any type of asset protection steps you've taken, any types of transfers you've made of your assets. If you spent the money on yourself, that's fine, okay? You can do that. You can spend the money on your home. You just can't give it to children, and you can't give it to an irrevocable asset protection trust during the 5-year look back period. Why? Because as they're looking through the 60 months, and let's say they see you put $200,000 into your irrevocable trust in year 3, they're going to penalize that, okay? The purpose of the look back period is to review the assets, to find any asset protection steps so that they can penalize those asset protection steps and not pay, all right? That's the purpose. Review, find any asset protection steps, gifts to kids or to trusts, and then penalize and not pay, okay? That's what they're doing. Only nursing home, historically. On the other hand, home care, historically, never a look back period, never a penalty. We can literally, in a home care scenario prior to our current environment, literally put a house in an irrevocable trust, give $200,000 to a trust, give $50,000 to our child in June, and literally be eligible for July for community-based home care Medicaid, okay? That's what's coming to a drastic end, all right? Now, new law, governor signed in April, said that 30-month look-back period was going to begin for all home care applications after 10/1, which would mean, like we just learned, penalties for any prior transfers during the last 30 months. It doesn't sound fair because somebody could have protected their house in 2019 before they even knew this law was out, okay? So as the law was originally written, it had some flaws that needed some clarification, and I'll get to that in a moment. The third part of what was dramatically changed in a community home care scenario is that increased the care needs, okay? What they've done is this. Under current law, if somebody needs community-based home care, there are assessments where nurses come into the house. The way we practice law, it's what's called life care planning, and it's very, very unique. We have geriatric social workers and board-certified patient advocate on staff, and they actually go to those assessments to assist and to advocate so that your loved one gets the most hours possible and gets the best care possible, okay? So those assessments have been happening for years, and we've been helping our life care planning clients, holding their hands through the whole process. Now, the change that is occurring, and we believe that is going to be happening really on all applications at this point, is that they are increasing the amount of care that the person needs to demonstrate they need. This currently, what an applicant has to show during these assessments is generally that they need assistance with 2 of those activities of daily living that I mentioned earlier. Mom needs help walking, mom needs help bathing. You demonstrate that, you show it, you're going to get approved on the care side currently. Now, the new law is increasing that. They are saying you just don't have to demonstrate the need. You have to demonstrate a need for what's now called physical maneuvering with 3 or more of the activities of daily living, okay? So walking, bathing, and toileting, they're upping the threshold, okay? Now, some good news in this mix here is that New York State has finally recognized those with cognitive decline. What they've said is that if you have a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's, and again, this is new law, it still has to get flushed out and implemented, but this is what it says. If you have that diagnosis, you do not also have to show the increased functional limitations with the activities of daily living, okay? So if you have that diagnosis, you have to show a need for supervision, much lower threshold than actual physical maneuvering. You have to show a need for supervision with 2 of the ADLs. So we drop back down, okay? And again, it's supervision, not actual physical maneuvering. So care needs generally increase for most of us, but there is gratefully that new exception, if you will, for those with a diagnosis and a cognitive decline versus purely physical needs. All right. Now, there are other changes in the new law. One I want to touch upon with a question mark next to it. It's what's called a pooled supplemental needs trust. Again, we're talking home care. And the vast majority of us on community-based home care can only stay home because of this godsend, because of this tool. It's called a pooled supplemental needs trust. That is the tool, the vehicle we use to shelter excess income, okay? It's also called a pooled income trust. It's run by a nonprofit charity, and there are or charities, there's dozens of these, but there are thousands and thousands of seniors in New York utilizing this pooled supplemental needs trust to shelter their income so they can stay home and pay their bills, okay? For the extent of today, that is enough information to know how important this program is. What New York State is trying to do is somehow attach or go after or penalize any of the income that is sheltered that's not used for the benefit of the Medicaid recipient, okay? As an example, if you have $4,000 in excess income, that's a lot, but I'm giving you an example. $4,000 in excess income, if that goes into your pooled supplemental needs trust every month, you need to spend that. You need to spend that every month. But if you don't, there's going to be some excess. That is what is coming under scrutiny with the new law. Under current law, that excess rolls over month to month to month, and you still have your lifetime to use it. Once you pass on, then whatever's left in that account goes to the underlying charity. It sounds confusing, and you may not like it as you hear it if you're hearing it for the first time, but trust me, tens of thousands of New Yorkers utilize that program. It's a lifesaver, okay? But again, New York is considering how can they get their hands on any money left over, all right? So the question mark is there, could be an asterisk, because at the end of the day, we need to keep an eye on what New York State is going to do. There are plenty of lobbyist groups, the entire New York State Elder Law section, the Bar Association, the senior citizen groups, AARP, for example. I'm sure we're all trying to make sure that this doesn't happen, this change doesn't happen, okay? But it can, all right? Keep an eye out. What you should do, all right? Get on our email list, like our Facebook page, all right? Tully Law Group, PC. That is the new formal name of our law firm, and I'll get into that another day. But get on our email list, go to our Facebook page, Tully Law Group PC, and that way you'll be notified of any updates and changes, okay? That's the safe way to do it. If you have any questions about this, I'll be taking questions at the end, okay? So just hold your questions for the time being, or you can put them in the chat box you have there. So with all that said, this is how it was originally written. Gratefully, about 6 weeks ago at this point, about 6 weeks ago, the New York State Department of Health came out and clarified the important, significant points, which is what led to what's going on today, okay, what we're talking about. The clarification is this. New York State has agreed to postpone the implementation until January 1st of 2021. That is a relief, okay? Again, current law said all applications after October 1. So applications today would have a look-back period. That's no longer the case, gratefully. They've pushed that to January 1st of 2021, okay? However, they kept October 1st as the look-back start date, okay? So what does that mean? It means that if I file a home care application today, there's no look-back period because it's before January 1st. It means that if I file an application next year, the look-back will, in fact, go back to October 1st. In addition, they clarified that the look-back period is now not an automatic 30 months, okay, gratefully. Instead, it is going to be phased in month by month, starting October, starting right now, month by month until it hits 30 months, okay? So, which will be April of 2023, okay? So that'll be a full 30 months. An example is if you file your application for home care in February, the look back isn't 30 months, the look back is to October 1st, okay? And remember the purpose of a look back: to find any asset protection transfers or asset protection steps, any gifts to kids, and penalize them, all right? You see where I'm going with this and why we're talking about this today on October 7th, okay? So those are the main changes. They postponed the implementation to January 1, and they have decided to phase in the look back period starting October 1st. What does all this mean? Well, it all means you have to start taking action now. And I'm not just pushing to make it sound like, you should go hire a lawyer. I'm saying this because this is legitimate changes that are going to be hitting your loved ones if they delay, okay? So what should you be doing at this point now? First, if you are not in need of any care at this point, this still applies to you. Get your asset protection plan in place. Give us a call, all right? We've been doing this for over 22 years. We have a staff of 15 here focused purely on helping people with their elder care needs, their estate planning needs, their elder law needs, okay? So we can help with what we're talking about. But if you are not in the need of care right now, you should be protecting your assets and creating what we call an elder care protection plan. An elder care protection plan is for those 65 and older. That is a plan where we can shelter assets and prepare for incapacity, prepare for care, long-term care down the road. It is a very comprehensive plan where we implement the protection and start the preparation for down the road, okay? The reason you want to start that sooner rather than later is because you can start that look-back period, okay? Not only the potential 30-month look-back for home care, but start the 60-month look-back for nursing homes. Crucial, all right? Younger and healthier, do your protection so that you can start the look-back periods, live your life, and then move on if you need care down the road, okay? That's the first group of people that should take action. The second group are those that actually have care needs because, as I've been describing, in the next slide I'll talk about it a little more, we are in a window of opportunity right here, all right? If you need Medicaid, now is the time, ASAP, now is the time to engage an experienced law firm that can help you protect your assets and file for Medicaid before January 1st. It takes time to prepare that application. It takes time to protect your assets. It takes time to gather all the necessary information and documentation from the family so we can put that application together and get it submitted before the end of the year. This is not something you can wait till November for, all right? All right, so there you go. Those that are with care needs, get moving ASAP. Those without care needs, start the asset protection. An elder care protection plan is probably the most comprehensive protective package you can put in place, and that's what we do for people, all right? Now, there are some black and white dates, okay? Things we know that are certain, and the first one is this. With the new law and these changes that were made, okay? And let me throw this out just so you can see what we're dealing with. The changes of implementation being postponed to January 1, it's not even in writing yet, all right? We don't have anything signed from the state, okay? Now, let me see. Okay, so what we're looking at, can you see me, folks? Are you able to see me? Hello there. Are we running into some problems here? You can still hear me. All right, so I'm going to keep talking, folks. Okay. I'm sorry you can't see the slides anymore, but I'll be very clear with what I'm talking about. The black and white dates are this. January 1st is black and white. Any applications filed after January 1st will be subject to a look-back period, okay? Now, the other black and white date is this, that all asset protection that was past tense completed before October 1st, they will never be subject to a home care look back period because the look back period begins October 1st. All right. What I'm doing here is framing out black and white dates. If you did something before October 1, you should always be good for home care. You'll always have the 5-year nursing home. All right. Don't forget that. The nursing home 5 years is always there. But if you did asset protection before 10/1, you should be clean as far as home care look back periods. And if you file after January 1st, you'll have a look back period until October. What does that mean? That means we have what I'm calling a gray area or a window of opportunity. What that means is from October 2nd, all right, through the end of December, we have a 3-month window where you can get your asset protection done. And as long as you file your home care application before the end of the year, you should be fine as far as no look back period and no penalties. It is very important that you understand this and that you tell your loved ones this is the time to act. If they wait and do the asset protection now but don't file until January, you're going to get hit with the look back and you're going to get hit with the penalties. All right? I'm trying to emphasize that as much as possible. Take advantage of this 3-month window, which is now only 2 months and 3 weeks. Okay? Take advantage of the window, get the protection done, hire an experienced law firm. I cannot express how important that is. Hiring an attorney or even a non-attorney, God forbid, that doesn't deal with this every single day, that isn't prepared to handle all of the new legal changes that are coming down the road. Hire an experienced elder care law firm that knows this stuff inside and out and will hold your hand through the process, okay? And take advantage as soon as possible of this gray area that we're in, okay? Now, how exactly should this all be addressed? What I have found through my nearly 23 years of working with families is that every elder care situation is broken down into at least three different portions. There's a legal aspect, there is a financial aspect to aging, and there is a care aspect, okay? The legal aspect is about how can I protect as much of my assets as possible? How can I protect my income? The financial aspect is how do we pay for the care? And that's where Medicaid comes in. The care aspect is how do I make sure my loved one, my wife, my grandfather, how do I make sure that my dad gets the best care possible? And if you aren't addressing all of these needs, then you're leaving something off the table and something can fall between the cracks and you're jeopardizing the entire situation, all right? I recognized that about 13, 14 years ago. And we started a service called Life Care Planning, where we're addressing the legal protection issues. We're addressing the financial Medicaid issues. And gratefully, we're addressing the care issues to make sure your loved one is getting the best care possible, no matter where they are. And a life care plan is that only service out there that covers all of these different domains, all right? We're here to help. Give a call, 631-424-2800. 631-424-2800 is the phone number, and it should be working by now. The website, TullyElderLaw.com, Tully, elderlaw.com. Our Facebook page, it was Tully Law PC, and now it should be Tully Law Group PC, okay? You can shoot me an email, Brian, Brian, at Tully Elder Law. We'll come in and we'll help as much as we can, but it's up to you to get moving, all right? Thank you, all right? We did pretty good on the time today. Let me see if we have any questions, all right? If you haven't put any questions in the chat box or let me know yet, let me see. Okay, looks like we've got a bunch here. Hold on. All right, any questions, folks? All right, the question is, what if I did the asset protection? What if I set up a trust in September, it looks like, but I file in January? What if I don't need the care right now? Well, the good news is, like I was sharing before, is that if you don't file the application before January, okay? They'll look back through October 1st. As long as the person who wrote the question, as long as you wrote the question, I'm sorry, as long as you did the asset protection prior to 10/1, you should be in the clear, okay? But again, specifics matter, all right? So it's up to figure out who you're going to work with so you can get that application taken care of, all right? Question, do you have a trust to utilize the pooled supplemental needs trust? So the best way I can explain, and that is a complicated issue, is the irrevocable asset protection trust that we use is for assets. We prepare that trust for homes, for investments, a portion of your assets to shelter and protect. The pooled supplemental needs trust is for income, all right? One's for assets, one's for income. Both of them shelter assets and income, respectively, for community Medicaid, okay? So yes, there is a pooled supplemental needs trust, but we don't have to create it. Gratefully, it's already in existence. There's nearly 24 different pooled income trust companies out there, charities, and we have good relationships with a bunch of them. So our job isn't to draft a new trust for income, but rather to just get you in there properly, efficiently, use it properly, as far as distributions, as far as what can be paid, what can't be paid, okay? So that's that question. Next question, does the new law affect people already in CDPAP? Okay, so it is our understanding that current Medicaid recipients in the home care world will be grandfathered in, okay, no pun intended there. So those already on consumer directed should be fine. Those already on traditional, personal caring programs through Community Medicaid should be fine, all right? That's a good thing, okay? Now, the issue becomes, I shouldn't say an issue, the question that exists out there is, and I'll let you know this, there is going to be a recertification every year. It is our hope, and the way we read these new laws is all these changes deal with eligibility, which happens once when we're applying. They should not apply to recertifications, but I cannot guarantee that. As they roll it out and as they implement it, then we'll be dealing with it, okay? It's all the more reason you need to be connected with and represented by a firm that knows what they're doing here. Okay, next question. Okay, somebody younger, 60 years of age, should they be putting into place a life care plan at this point? I would suggest that a life care plan is for those that are starting to face and are concerned about somewhat near in the horizon care needs. The elder care protection plan is one that we can start for those that are younger, all right, generally around 65 years of age. That elder care protection plan does have a care component, okay? My elder care coordinators, as we call them, are advocates. They're involved if you have questions, if you have care management issues, if you need to know which facility to use, which neurologist to meet with, they're available, okay? As long as you're an elder care protection client of ours, Q&A over the phone and email with the attorneys, with the paralegals, with the care coordinators, it's all included. That's what we do for our families, okay? In addition, those that are elder care protection clients, there is an annual personal care assessment that we send out to our clients so that we can stay in touch as far as the care needs. We ask about the activities of daily living, and we ask about the incidental activities of daily living. Those are, for example, driving, cooking, preparing your medications, all right? So the elder care protection plan would be the appropriate service and package to get you going if you're younger and healthier. Will property be affected? Okay, so Mabel, you asked a good question there. We don't know the exact answer yet, okay? So it's about real estate. So there is a law that says if you put your home into your real estate, your primary residence, into an irrevocable trust, and then apply for nursing home Medicaid, that law says you will be penalized if that was done within the last 60 months during the look-back period. Okay, again, real estate, primary real estate, nursing home Medicaid, within 60 months, you'll be penalized. That law does not say home care. Okay, so there is a potential, not guaranteed loophole that if you shelter your home and then apply for community-based Medicaid, it may never be penalized, even if you do it after October 1, even if you do it January 1. I am not comfortable with those odds as of right now. If you're in that boat, I say get it done because you've got nothing to lose. Attempt it. But we just don't have any clarification from New York State as to whether they will abide with or allow that loophole. All right. In other words, still protect the house as soon as possible. Okay, that's the advice. Any other questions, folks? Okay. If I set up a trust account before January 1, am I okay? Okay, if I set up a trust account before January 1, am I okay as far as the look back for home health care? So if you set it up before January 1st, let's say between October 7th and January 1st, and then apply for community Medicaid within the next 30 months, they will see it and they will penalize you. If you do not need home care until after April of 2023, you will then be outside of the 30-month look back as long as you do it in October. If you do it in November, then you got to go to May of 2023. If you do it in December, then you got to go to June of 2023. Okay, so whenever you do it, the 30 months is far reaching to the future. Okay, so yes, if you do it in October and then year 4 you need home care, you should be fine. Okay, all right, everybody, it was a pleasure. Good to see you again. We will be getting back to these weekly. We've been absolutely bonkers with the amount of work and helping people through September just to get that planning and protection done before October 1st. That deadline has come and gone, so now we are able to breathe, okay? So we're certainly willing and able to help new families. Give us a call and we can do that. We will start running into issues with timing and client pipelines with Medicaid work. So the sooner you get in for that, the sooner we're able to get that processed. All right, again, I'm Brian Tully. Thank you for listening to us and watching at least most of our presentation. Hopefully see you soon. Thank you.